Hey, y'all. This is Frank the Bigfoot, and you're listening to the Paranormal Punchers.
Yeah, top hats to anal probing. That's how we do it around here.
Then they had a flatbread truck.
Man, a flatbed truck. It's the tastiest truck on the planet.
Holy moly, there's a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's my phone?
Yeah.
It came into my suitcase. I threw it off
Did what in a suitcase?
They attribute it to El Vampiro de Mocha, the vampire of Mocha. It was
Vampire of
chocolate.
of Mocha. Yeah.
That's right. Hey, stop all the beaming.
Stop all the beaming, UFO.
Hashtag stop the beaming.
Oh, man.
Hey, friends. Welcome to Paranormal Punchers. This is a very special episode because we are hanging out with author of The Day I Met Bigfoot, Mr. Craig Durham. Craig, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me.
Absolutely. Now, I usually do this, but I'll do this for the listeners. Like, I'm Mark.
I'm Militia.
I'm Nash.
I'm Dave.
And like I said, we're hanging out with Craig, talking about his new book. Craig, when did you release this book?
This was out in July this year, 2018.
Okay, because like I was telling you before we started recording, like your Instagram, like, I don't know, Instagram recommended you, and you've been blowing it up with that Instagram. Great pictures, great fun stuff. And I just had to read the book.
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate that.
Now, is this the first book you've ever written?
Yeah, this first book ever. I don't consider myself an author or anything like that. This was kind of like, I guess you could say, I had a guy at work who knew the story, and he's a Bigfoot, and he's kind of convinced me, you got to get out there, you got to do this, and I don't know the first anything about writing a book. So I figured, I did a little research on how to do it and figured it out, and then here we are, It took a lot of convincing over the years for him to get me to get it out there, because, I never really went around and said, hey, listen to my Bigfoot story.
Now, everybody listening, like I said, the book is called The Day I Met Bigfoot. This is Craig's experience out in California when he had the opportunity that we all want and ran into Bigfoot. Now, in the book you talk about... that was back in like 1998, I think, when this went down. And
1998.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just about 18 years old or so. Yeah.
And it took you this long because I know if I saw Bigfoot, I would be telling everybody. But you were very hesitant. And in the book, you talk about where you weren't sure how people would take this. But I mean, I know I would just start blabbering right away.
Right.
Well, I think we did at first. So this is a buddy of mine. And at the time, I think, we thought, oh, this is crazy. We got to go. We got to tell everybody. We got to tell the news. We got to tell everybody. And we thought it was a huge thing. And I think it was just, you get home and, you're talking to your friends. And in this case, my brother, my family. And it's like, yeah, sure. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's just we were young and I think just. At the time, for whatever reason, it just kind of, I wouldn't exactly say it faded away. It's just not something that would fade away. But, again, it's not just like something that I guess that, you go out and you start telling everybody your Bigfoot story. But, so I wouldn't go as far as say, we ignored telling anybody or we didn't, because we did. We just, and maybe because also, too, there was no, like, Instagram at the time. There was no,
Right.
What was it, maybe MySpace or something at the time that was about it. But, yeah, it wasn't probably as easy to get it out there. And I don't think there was no YouTube or anything like that. So I think maybe it's the Internet and a buddy of mine that kind of pushed it to this level,
Yeah, that's awesome. Because if you would have put it on MySpace, nobody would ever know about it. So it's a good thing you didn't do
It would
that.
still be there unread on MySpace.
Now,
that's
when
true.
I was reading this, and I definitely want to have you tell everybody about your experience because it's pretty incredible, in my opinion. But when I was reading this, I was like, I was kind of like, I felt like very involved in the story because in the late 90s, I was getting into mountain biking too. So that's that's how I got into biking. It was big at the time.
Yeah, it was getting pretty hot. So now in my neighborhood where I live in Boston, I wouldn't go exactly as far as to say we have like forests or woods or whatever, but we do have like some areas where there's large chunks of forest where there's a ton of trails and things like that. Right. And we, as kids, me and like my buddy who's in the book actually, we started going in there on just our our BMX bikes, and whatever we had, just to going down to the pond, and we was catching turtles and frogs like that. So I don't even think we knew that we were mountain biking at the time because we were riding all through these trails even before mountain biking was a thing. You know what I mean? So we've been riding on these trails and in the woods on our bikes since we were young kids, and it just kind of evolved into mountain biking, and it really became a big thing in the late 90s. No,
I'm with you because that's what got me into biking was mountain biking. Now the worst thing I've ever come across when I was mountain biking was a bear. So I was shooting down this trail, and I saw this cute bear cub come out across the trail. I would say maybe 30 yards, and I stopped and whoa. And then Momma Bear came out, and I remembered every story that people told me. If you see a bear cub and then you see a Momma Bear, you're screwed.
Right.
So I turned around and rode as fast as I possibly could. And this was in the woods of Pennsylvania. You guys went up when you had the opportunity to go out to California to help your bro move. You just went out in the woods of California without maps, without anything,
right?
Which is,
it was
seems
totally
terrifying.
Random. Well, I don't know if it was just because we were young and dumb or whatever, but we're so used to just riding around in Boston, and there is these big areas where you can get lost for maybe the majority of a day before a trail ends up, like I say in the book, it ends up out behind like a shopping mall or on a road or somewhere that you can find your way back. So we weren't really prepared for such this big, vast, expansive area because I just don't think we were used to that. We did go up to Maine and New Hampshire and things like that with a buddy of mine, and we seem to always find our way out. So I think we were definitely a little ill prepared for for what we ended up doing.
Now I'm sorry, Craig. I'm talking over top of you.
No, but I'm just going to say we were so used to just just going up and going for a ride, and like I said, kind of just finding your way eventually, that we weren't planning to go so far off the beaten path. It's just something that kind of happened,
Now, what I was going to say is again, I've been reading the book, so I have all these questions, and like I said, I used to mountain bike, so I put myself in the same situation as you. So I'm extremely excited, but I want to pull it back a little bit. And I mean, if it's okay with you, maybe you could. I know. I don't want to spoil everything about the book, but
right.
But since we're all Bigfoot enthusiasts, maybe you could just tell us about your experience.
Yeah, kind of dive into it a little bit. Tell us to kind of lead up to it and give us the goods, man.
So you mean just my actual encounter, or
that would be I mean, if you don't mind, because I tell you. If you don't, I'm going to end up just blurting it out because I'm so excited. I mean, I'm really enjoying the book, absolutely. But you had an experience, and I would love you to tell it from your point of view.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I think there is obviously a lot more detail, in the book than I could probably get out now. But I'll definitely, try to explain it. So. Basically, like you said, we're out biking, and we are helping my brother who was out in California. And being from Boston, we just kind of toss our bikes in the back of a rental vehicle that we had. So we go up to Mount Shasta. We didn't even know Mount Shasta was or anything like that. So my brother, being from California, I don't know if it was just a magazine that he had, but it was just a tourist magazine or travel magazine. and it had some articles about Mount Shasta. So we said, oh, this looks like a cool area, and it wasn't too far from where we were. So we threw the bikes in the rental car, and we went up there for the day. And again, we were on vacation. We had a week or so to go. We weren't in any rush, and we didn't have any place to be. So we said, screw it, and we went up there. So now when we get to Mount Shasta, this is, I would say there's like a touristy area, and we checked the area out a little bit, and we didn't really want to like be right on this Mount Shasta area, so we kind of did drive off the beaten path a little bit, and we found some kind of dirt roads, and I don't know if I call it like abandoned area or whatever, but just like kind of off to the side, maybe the town that we were at. So, we pull up the side of the road, and we grab the bikes. We get out there, start riding around. We're riding for a few hours, and as I'm sure any mountain biker will know, you're out there and you're on these rocky trails. Get a flat tire. So I got a flat tire. We're on a trail. It's kind of like it's a rocky trail, and it's on kind of a bend, kind of like a turn, and also a cliff area. So we stop. I pull my bike upside down. I start trying to change my tire. And my buddy who I'm riding with, he kind of does the same. He's having some problems with his gears, whatever. So we're both kind of doing our thing. I start yanking on my tire, and, you get the water bottle holder on the bike. It's like, now it's upside down. So the bike's upside down. I'm tipping I'm yanking the tire off. And so as the water bottle falls out from me shaking on the tire, it kind of rolls down the trail. So I kind of let go of the tire, and I go over to grab the water bottle and kind of hear some noise. Now, it's a quiet area. We're out in the middle of nowhere now. So I reach down to grab the bottle. I hear some noise breaking behind me. Just as a reflex, I turn around, and fair enough, there it is, standing right behind a tree, staring at me. Bigfoot.
Huh.
Nice.
And, I know it sounds crazy, but it's like we're standing there I'm standing there at the time staring at this thing. It's staring back at me, and I kind of motioned to my buddy, like, hey,
holy
with my
crap.
hand. I'm trying not to make any sudden moves. And I've never encountered a bear or anything like that in the woods, but I don't know if it's just something that or whatever. It's just like to stay still, maybe not run, because the thing would run after you. And I think that's kind of what maybe I had in my head. So I kind of just motioned very easily to my buddy, who's kind of around the corner there, to come on down. And he's thinking, what the heck's going on here? So he comes around, and he sees it, and he's just standing there frozen too. I mean, believe me, this is nothing that we've ever seen before or ever seen since, or ever used to. You know what I mean?
Right.
So this was, it was crazy. So it was, we were shocked. I mean, we were like frozen, and maybe a mix of fear and just, I don't know, curiosity or what, but we just, like, I think also too that it was probably feeling the same thing. It wasn't expecting us. Maybe it came around this turn and saw us and was frozen as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you guys were both startled each other to the point where you're just staring at each other.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
wow.
Exactly. It was both like startled each other. We weren't making some crazy noise. We weren't riding our bikes at the time. We were just kind of, like I said, I was fixing my tire.
Now, go ahead, Nash.
I was just saying, you're just kind of doing your thing, and all of a sudden you look up, and behind you there's a Sasquatch sitting there. That would be a little shocking. I mean, that might be the liquid's not coming out of the water bottle only. I think we're all dropping a little extra liquid at that point,
Yeah. Were you frightened? Did it give you a sense, like, were you scared of it, or what initially washed over you?
Oh, initially, absolutely. I mean, I was like, I was scared of, I don't know if I'm almost swear. I don't know if you can swear on your show.
Yeah, go for it.
But yeah, I was, believe me, I was. And then same thing when my buddy came around the corner. It's like, again, we frozen with fear. But it was weird. It was almost like it was as curious of us as we were of it.
Right.
And it's very hard to explain. It happened probably so fast, but at the same time, I think to us it just felt like, a long time. But it was definitely a quick moment until I guess the next thing that continues.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Craig. I was going to say, did it seem like, was it just seconds, or did it feel like an hour that you were just frozen looking at something you're like, didn't think existed?
It was probably a few minutes. I think when we, we're kind of, like I said, by the time I'm standing there, my buddy comes down, he sees it, we're both standing there, and then, we're kind of wondering, okay, what do we do? Do we run? We don't want to, where do we go? Mm-hmm. We're going to run away from our bikes where
right.
We have no idea where we are. You know what I mean? Our bikes are our only real way out of there. And yet, again, if we run, is this going to chase after us? And we didn't really say that at the time. But, after the fact, we talked about it. And it's like, yeah, what should we have done? What could we have done? And I don't think, could have done anything other than what we did, which is basically just stood there frozen.
Right.
Now,
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but then what you guys decided to do next, based on what Bigfoot did, was just kind of like, wow. When I was reading the book, that's crazy.
Right, so I'll get into that. So basically, we're standing there for a few minutes, and it kind of references as the book is almost like a child, like a scared child. A child is around some parents or whatever, or adults, and it's kind of shy or whatever, and kind of
right.
hides away or behind something, behind a parent's leg or something like that. It almost had this weird, I wouldn't go say it was frightened, but it had a weird kind of almost scared or shy demeanor to it. It was kind of behind this tree, and it kind of tossed this little chain to us. So, what the heck is that? We reach down, pick it up, and it's this keychain. And again, I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's like we picked this thing up and what the heck? And so yeah, and it's and it's this keychain. So I'm like, all right. Now we had a backpack full of, just some bike tools, just a couple drinks and some candy that we had gotten at the store on the way up. That we, luckily we had this backpack, we had some bike tools. That's what we were fixing the bike with. So we're like, all right, well, let's toss something at it. We had some candy bars, and we had a Hershey bar or whatever. We opened it up, and just chocolate. We threw it on the ground, and to kind of see what it would do, well, probably almost as if it was curious of what we would do. So we threw it on the ground, and it picks it up, and so now let me back up. And we took a couple bites out. We broke it off to kind of take a few bites. So it was staring at us. So it was almost mimicking. We wondered if it was kind of mimic us or whatever. So we threw it on there, and sure enough, it takes the piece of chocolate and it eats it.
Holy moly!
So. Yeah, we threw it down there. It takes a straight. It was almost like you ever see you go to a zoo and you see a gorilla or whatever,
mm-hmm.
and at the zoo, and it's kind of just sitting there doing its own thing, and sometimes you see it's eating whatever. It's almost it's just like that. I mean, it's very. This was very similar. If you could take a gorilla and a human and somehow just completely mix them in together. It definitely had some intelligence.
Right.
There's no question it had some intelligence. And it was just basically doing exactly what we were doing.
Why do you think it was carrying around that keychain? if it was fine, I assume he found it in his travels around the forest. But why do you think he picked it up and carried it around? Or did you even put any deep thought into it?
I never thought about it, to be honest with you. I mean, why? I don't know. I don't know. So, I mean, as I progress in the story, at this point, it kind of just takes a turn up the hill and kind of wanders off. Now, we're kind of referencing in the book as if it's like, now it's like somebody's expecting you to follow them. You kind of walk away, but like look back as if like, hey, are you coming with us? And so we're standing there like, is this trying to get us to follow it? So of course our curiosity takes over, and it didn't seem like it was harming us, so it wanted to harm us. So like, all right, well, let's go. So we walk away and we follow this thing kind of up this hill and through the woods. And so now, actually, let me back up a second. So we actually had, I told you we had the backpack. So we had the candy, and we went a little further. We actually had a soda can of Mellow Yellow. And we threw it. We did the same thing. We threw it down there, and this thing, so this thing sort of drank it. We laughed at this. Was like at the time, like watching this was crazy. And I know it sounds crazy, but it's like, what would you do at the time? You only have, a couple things in your bag, and it's like you're trying to figure out how this thing is interacting with you.
Right.
And it's not obviously causing any harm. So the only thing we had was some candy and some soda. So we do what we could. We threw obviously at a distance. We threw this can of soda at it, and it somewhat drank it, I guess you could say. But anyway, so as it did.
And it wasn't like a Major League Baseball kind of throw the soda at it. It was more of a
no,
lob it over.
Like toss it on the ground and see what happens.
Like dodge this, sucker. Not like that. Not like
that. Right. So, so anyway, as it walked away, it was holding the can, and now we followed this thing for what we look back and we think it was probably about a mile or so, and this thing could move through like trees, bushes, brush. This was a dense area. This thing could move through like crazy, and we were just wearing shorts and t-shirts. But we're trying to follow this thing, which is very difficult for us because we're getting all hacked up walking through all this dense brush, and we follow this thing to an area. It was kind of a clearing where it's got there's some logs piled up, and there's like if we had walked by, it probably would look like a collection of trash to you and me. But we assume this is like these things that he's finding throughout the woods or whatever. I mean, I'm assuming there's hikers or whatever in this area, and things that it's collecting, along with this keychain. So I don't know if I don't go as far as to say he's taking this thing and just carrying it around the woods, or it's just something that he happened to pick up along one of these trails. I don't know. But he's definitely got this pile of junk that it was interested in, along with the can now that we had given it, and it kind of brought it over to its pile and added it to its collection, as I guess you could say.
Which is, I find so fascinating because humans, for some reason, we like to collect shit.
Yeah.
Like I collect comic books. I know people collect baseball cards. What is that? In fact, and Bigfoot's collecting stuff he finds in the woods. I mean, that is weird. You know what I mean? Like
maybe I don't know if it was just because it was just like things that were not, obviously normal to being in the woods. It wasn't sticks or logs. It was like beer bottles and, just junk that we would leave. But obviously was
but the Bigfoot was like,
things.
Bigfoot's like, oh, this is not like the rest of my environment. This is something unique.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah. And so that's what we thought was very interesting when this thing took this can that we had kind of rolled over to him. And I don't know if it was because now he'd gotten this can and then just decided to walk away. And it was almost like, I don't know if he thought, I got to bring this to my collection, as crazy as it sounds, but you know what I mean? It was like, that's what the
Did you guys do a trade?
Pile of junk was.
Bigfoot tossed you the keychain. You tossed him a Melly Yellow can.
I guess you could say
fair deal.
I guess you could say it was a I guess you could say it was a fair trade.
Nice.
I guess you could say it was a fair trade because I do have the keychain still. So
nice.
Wow.
That's awesome. I bet you. I wonder.
Yeah, and if you see, you could see it in the book. If you
was that towards the end of the book? I feel like you had a picture of it. Yeah, it's really cool looking that you kept it.
No, I'm flipping through the book here. That's you with your mountain biking background. Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Nice. Oh, okay.
Nice.
I don't know, man. The Mellow Yellow was really good. He might have gotten the raw deal on that one.
Isn't Melly Yellow like just a rip-off of Mountain
I can't
Dew?
say that I blame him.
Or the other way around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's it. I never got into the Mountain Dew. The Melly Yellow was always pretty good, but I can't say that I blame him.
Now, you guys, you followed Bigfoot. One thing I'm really curious about, again, I don't want to spoil all the book, but this moment was broken up by something that you still probably don't even know what it was. Something that was crashing through
definitely no idea.
Do you think that, because I was reading, it was like, what if this was like Bigfoot, like an adolescent?
Right.
And what you guys heard that broke up this whole
That was Mama.
experience was, I had a dog Bigfoot, like, who are these guys? And why are they near my kid? And I'm about to lay down a whooping.
Maybe we wondered too about that. So just so your audience can understand too. So when we're standing there, kind of just so now we get to this area, we get to this clearing, and we're kind of now. I should also say that this thing was like locked onto us, its eyes. It wouldn't let us out of its sight until it really got to this point where now it's at this new clearing area where it's got all of its stuff, and it's kind of going about its business and kind of playing with this, all these pieces of junk, I guess you could say.
It's going through its stuff. It's hanging out, It's
a collection,
It's introducing to the collection,
Exactly. It's got a new item for the collection. But now, so we're at a distance the whole time. We're not hand in hand with this thing by any means. We're keeping our distance the whole time. But so now, we're standing there, and we are like totally fixated on this thing and watching this thing. But we do hear this kind of loud, almost like running through the brush area and the trees and stuff. You hear like these branches breaking, and now Bigfoot just up and like takes off. So we run, we get out of there. But now we look back at it too. It was like we didn't at the time. We wondered, like, was that another Bigfoot? Was it a bear? We don't know what it was. And then we like you just said, do we think it was like a Momma Bigfoot or something like that? We don't know, because we wondered if that was really the case, would this Bigfoot have run away as well?
Right.
True.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. We really have no idea, but it just was like such a fast thing that we just we took off running, because I think anxiety at the whole time was so sky high that the littlest thing was like, well, let's just get out of here. So we took off and we just ran, and so we never saw anything. So we really couldn't say, but we wondered. We always wondered for sure.
I don't know anything about Mount Shasta in California, but I don't know what kind of bears they have. It's just the way you described it in the book. I'm like, that's got to be something big.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And not like just a hunter. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it definitely, seemed like a bear or an animal or something like running at us. It was like definitely like a fast moving noise. I don't know. Yeah, it's such a like a it was weird. We were in this like clearing where there was just this pile of logs that we were at, but surrounding us was kind of like a hill on one side and just like a densely brush and trees area around us. Mm-hmm. So we don't really know if it was kind of like behind us and kind of over the hill that we couldn't see anything or what. But it's just so quiet out there that I think that sound just like echoes through those woods. And so we didn't really, we like I said, we never saw anything. We couldn't really tell what was coming from, but we didn't stay long enough to find out, that's for sure.
Right.
Now,
and again, I should say too that we weren't out there for anything like this. We were just going for a simple bike ride, So this was like very, it was all like a shocking development at the time, and it all happened kind of so fast,
Yeah, what do they call serendipity? Like you're just going for a simple bike ride, and you had this entire experience that a lot of people would
have waited all their lives.
Love to, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't really realize that at the time. I mean, I didn't know anything really about Bigfoot or anything back then. I kind of discussed this with my buddy, when I was putting this book together. It's like we never, I don't think we've ever mentioned Bigfoot or anything to each other or anybody before this. And we did actually kind of discuss this at the time. As you get further into the book, you see we're kind of like now trying to find a way out of there. We do kind of discuss this, but I don't know if it's just something that kids know or just people just seem to know about. Everybody seems to know about Bigfoot for some reason. I don't know. And we wondered, is it just Harry and Henderson's? Was that our only exposure at the time? But we both knew right away. But we never had mentioned. We never talked about Bigfoot. Again, this is not coming from Boston. We definitely don't have many Bigfoot sightings.
Right. Now has go ahead, Craig.
No, I was just going to say, so just to recap, it was definitely just a bike ride, and it wasn't for any adventure or anything like that, out looking for Bigfoot or even anything, like that. So it was just a mindless bike ride that we thought we'd be in and out in there in a few hours,
What's funny is a lot of things I read or listen to, the people that actually actively go out there with all their gear and their cameras trying to capture something, they don't. It's the people that are just out,
just doing their own thing,
taking a hike, doing their own thing, that aren't even could give a crap about Bigfoot. They're just out taking a hike. They're the ones that have an experience. But I wanted to know, like, since then, has your interest in Bigfoot changed? And other paranormal, has it changed your point of view on the world that we don't, that part of our universe we don't even know anything about?
I think it has definitely changed my perspective on just, what we know. I don't know how I could really describe it, but definitely I've become a lot more interested in my more, adult years of just history and things about the world. It's definitely I have more curiosity now. I think back then I don't know if I really cared. And I didn't really, I never at the time read anything about Bigfoot or anything, but it's funny now that, there is this more exposure. You get like the Finding Bigfoot TV shows and there's this, it seems like there's more now. I don't know if it's because I'm paying attention or it's the internet or whatever it is, but it does seem like there's more now than ever. I don't know. But it's funny, you mentioned that, and it's like, with this more exposure, everybody has a cell phone, everybody has a video camera, yet there's no, everybody seems to only get a photo from like a camera from 1980.
Yeah, no clear pictures.
Yeah, it's like, did you take that photo with a Super 8 camera out in the woods and then have it developed poorly? Yeah. No, nobody, and that seems to be the thing. Like, anybody that goes looking for it doesn't see it. The people that don't, means I just had to start mountain biking more.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. I don't know what it is, but I think like the Bigfoot people in general kind of get like every time you see them on TV, they're always like these, and it's like stereotypical. They're always like these like redneck type people that they almost want to make it look like that these people are just ridiculous, and I think that kind of makes it lose its like credibility a little bit. Which is unfortunate to people, who really believe and are out there trying to actually get some credible evidence, whatever. But I didn't so just to go back to your question. I didn't really realize that, like I said, there was so much going on, and not too long ago, a guy asked me, he's like, "Well, didn't you get a photo or like a footprint casting and all this?" Like, I didn't know any of that stuff existed back then.
You're out on your bike riding in the woods, Yeah.
You're not carrying plaster cast kind of equipment when you're out mountain biking.
Exactly. So it's like people who want to be critical, that they ask me like, "Well, why don't you where's your evidence?" And it's like, what do you want me to say? I just out for a bike ride, and I'm not carrying around plaster casts. I'm not collecting hair samples. And again, like I said, I didn't even know any of that existed at the time. Nothing to do with going out searching for Bigfoot or anything like that. And again, for people who ask about like a cell phone too, I'd say like back then, 1998. I think I just had like just a regular. It was just like a regular Nokia phone. The most I could do was play Snake, if you remember that. I couldn't take cell phone pictures or anything like that. Yeah. So, I guess unfortunately it was years before the iPhone. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, with all this, did you have any trouble getting the book published with trying to do it with your description of everything, that editors not believing you or publishers not believing you, things like that?
No, honestly, I just wrote the story, and I kind of did a lot myself. I mean, I made the cover myself. I did, wrote everything myself, and
you did I'm sorry,
edited.
Not to interrupt you. You did the artwork for the cover?
Yeah, I did.
Very cool. Yeah, it looks great.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, I pretty much did everything myself. I did a little research of how to get it done and how to get it out there and in stores and all that. And I wasn't in any rush to get it out there. So I kind of just took my time and, I sat down with my buddy of mine who's in the book and, let's sit down. Let's get all the details that we remember, make it as accurate as possible. So I did take my time, get it out there. Like I said, I made the artwork, and then I got it out there, and I basically get it printed, and you can get it. Surprisingly, you can get it everywhere. I've even seen people like reselling it on eBay.
Really?
Nice.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, I saw somebody was selling one on eBay for like $60, and like crazy. You can buy the thing on Amazon for like $6.
I was gonna say I got it on Amazon for $6.99. So
yeah,
I don't know what these people on eBay
are
trying to do.
Yeah, I know. I was shocked. I was like, people sending me messages like, "Yeah, it's for $60." I'm like, I don't know where that is, but go to Amazon, $6.
Right.
Now, have you? Given any thought to like going any side conventions and selling your book and telling your story to people?
I don't think so, to be honest with you. I mean, I haven't really. I haven't given it any thought. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what any big conventions are. I would have to look that up and see where they are, I guess. I'm not opposed to telling the story or anything like that. Like I said, a guy at work who kind of pushed me into it's like, yeah, get your book out. He's a big Bigfoot guy, and he's like, get your book out, get your story out there. People want to know.
Told,
people who
right.
like, yeah, exactly. People who like Bigfoot would appreciate it and all that, and they'll help to the cause and all that stuff. So that's when I figured, all right, well, finally, what the hell. But I never really. I looked into the Bigfoot kind of community and getting it out there and where any of these things are like that, I'm not opposed to that. But
heck, you could probably go to like these comic conventions and have a little booth. I'm just saying because I really enjoy it. And I think people would enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think you could probably, but it also takes a lot of effort to do that.
When I was originally put this book out there, I'm like, look, if I sell one copy, I'd be happy. That was my goal. If I could sell one copy to one person I don't know and maybe get a review from Amazon, that's not like a family member or something like that, then I'd be happy. So I'm like completely shocked with the the response that it has. I mean, I set up the Instagram account and I'm getting a ton of people sending me messages. I love this book, and so the Bigfoot community really has taken a response to it and has enjoyed it. So I am very appreciative of that. And
that's awesome.
I'm very shocked because, again, like I said earlier, I'm not an author. I don't know if I'm telling the story very well or, is my book, in the correct format like a book should be or whatever. I have no idea about any of that stuff. But I put it together the best that I could, and I'm very happy that people have taken a pretty positive response to it. So
yeah, here's the way I, as reading it, I kind of, was saying this to Alicia, that I feel like as I read this book, I'm possibly sitting around a campfire and you're telling me the story. It's written in such a conversational way that I feel like you're just telling me. I'm not reading like a Stephen King novel. I'm literally sitting next to you drinking a beer while you tell me the story.
Right.
And I really think that's a cool way to relay this to the readers.
It's funny you mention that because I've read a few of the reviews on Amazon. I think like two people or so have reviewed on Amazon. It's like I almost feel like I'm sitting around at a barbecue just listening to this story, or somebody told somebody being told that story. And again, I didn't plan on that. I wasn't trying to do that on purpose. This was just me just sitting in front of my laptop and just started typing away. So, that's kind of cool that you say that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that because, I feel like it comes from, it seems very genuine. Like, literally, and next time we go to Rock and Shock, I'll have to let you know so we could connect for a beer and you could tell me the story in person.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
Now, I don't want to spoil too much of the book, but I'm just very curious because after Bigfoot, I think you guys got into a world of hurt that might be even scarier than running into Bigfoot and getting lost in the woods. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
And you guys had to deal with that too. I feel like that's probably scarier than meeting a big legend.
Sorry, back up for a second. You kind of broke up there. So you said after.
I would say, I almost feel like getting lost in Mount Shasta in the woods is probably maybe even scarier than meeting Bigfoot.
Oh, you know what? Absolutely. So no, when I was saying earlier too, is we kind of like being from Boston and kind of in the area that we could go riding, where we could be riding on these trails for a few hours or so. We almost tried to get lost because you would always end up in a parking lot or something that we would know. So it's like we almost like, all right, let's just go down these random trails and try to get lost. Or we would try to go up to New Hampshire or something in Maine and just go on these random trails and try to get lost. So now when we're at this place, and now we're not trying to get lost, but sure enough we do.
Right.
So when it happens, in real life, I guess you could say, it was very it really affects you, are you ever going to get out of here? Very weird feeling. So now the only thing that we could really do is we tried to go up some of these peaks and valleys and things that are in the area. But it's such a dense area that we were at. It was we really couldn't see. But what we could see was just trees forever. And it was like, we wondered, how the heck are we going to get out of here? It was, to me, that was one of that was more frightening. Like you said, that was more frightening because now it's like really an unknown. Like, what do we do now, you know?
Yeah, plus you also know there's something out there that you didn't know existed.
That there's something out there that could possibly tear you apart.
Yeah.
Then the sun goes down.
Yeah. And then there was something else that scared it off.
Yeah. We were on edge like we've never been in our lives that whole time. We look back now, and we're very grateful for that experience, and we've gone through that, and we look back on now, and it's like that was a great adventure that we had together. Me and this is like a buddy of mine that we've lived down the street from each other since we were probably 3 years old. So we've known each other forever, and as scary as it was at the time, it's just something that you kind of go through as like with a childhood friend that you'd never want to give up. Luckily, we got out of there. Obviously,
yeah. Right?
Spoilers.
But
Craig, I want
to. It was crazy.
Yeah, this has been phenomenal. I know you're very busy, got things to do. Plus, I don't want to give too many details out to everybody listening because I'm enjoying the heck out of the book. I'm almost done. I'm fighting back, asking you just to tell me the rest of it. Like I said, I feel like I'm actually hanging with you in Boston. You're relaying this story to me. I love the way you wrote it. Tell everybody where they
really
can.
Appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome, dude. And thank you for coming on the show.
And just so I think people can know, there is a lot more in the story of how. Now I call it the day I met Bigfoot because this particular day does, as I think crazy as this event is in my life, it had a real big effect on the rest of my life and how things turned out. And that's kind of why that day was kind of like a life-altering experience. And me being stuck up in that area for that time kind of, I guess you could say, kind of changed a few things in my life that was unexpected. So as you read through the book, you'll see kind of what I'm talking about. So, it's an interesting development, but obviously this particular day had a big effect, and that's why I call it that the day I met Bigfoot.
Right.
Yeah, I can only imagine it had a huge impact. Now, tell everybody where they can find this book.
So, yeah, you can pretty much get it anywhere. Barnes & Noble, Walmart.com, Amazon. Amazon, I think, is the cheapest if you're a Prime member or you want an e-book or Apple iBooks. I've found it pretty much everywhere. Or you can get it for $60 on eBay.
Nice. Yeah, don't do that.
But I suggest, you go to Amazon. If you're a Prime member, that's the cheapest.
The day I met Bigfoot, Craig Durham. Thank you so much, dude. We have friends up in Worcester.
Yep.
So if we ever get up that way again very soon, I will shoot you a message, and maybe we can actually get a beer and talk about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us. This has been fantastic. Yeah, absolutely, dude. Everybody go Amazon, check it out. Craig, thank you so much. You have a great night.
Cool. You too. Thanks. See you guys.
Oh, that was awesome. Why don't we take a quick break and we'll come back with some final thoughts. And, awesome.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. Honey, look. It's Bigfoot.
No way. Let's go say hi. Hey, Mr. Bigfoot. What you reading?
You can call me Frank, and I'm reading the Paranormal Punchers comic book.
Paranormal Punchers?
Yeah, it's about a group of podcasters that get themselves in all kinds of paranormal trouble. It's like Scooby-Doo meets the X-Files, and it's hilarious.
Sounds great. Where can we get a copy?
Just head over to paranormalpunchers.com where you can find a comic book and all kinds of merchandise.
Thanks, Mr. Bigfoot. Have a nice day.
Thanks, you too. Oh, and look out for that bear.
Nash, what is like the one thing that could go wrong on a paranormal investigation?
Why, Mark? That's the lack of food.
People are putting in their backpack a EMF detector, a flashlight, a digital recorder, but if you forget that snack, your whole evening could be ruined.
That's exactly right.
So if you head over to mfjerky.com, you can order some delicious beef jerky, and if you use our code SPOOKYJERKY15, you can save 15% on your order, and it's a big savings. That way, when you're out doing an investigation, you're not going to worry about hunger pains. Your stomach's not going to growl and mess up a possible EVP.
Right.
And like we like to say here, Moses Family Jerky, the best thing to pack on your paranormal or normal adventure. And we're back. Craig, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the heck out of the book. Thank you for spending time with us. That was a great convo.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was awesome. Now, Lish, over the break, you had a thought about what could possibly crashing through the woods and scared Bigfoot and Craig and his buddy.
Yes. So this might be stupid, but I know you guys were speculating that there's no way it was probably his mom because he was scared too, and he ran off. Everybody ran off.
Right.
Immediately, my mind went to the Little Mermaid when
she wouldn't be on the land.
You're the only one. You're only one at the table whose mind went to Little Mermaid.
I know.
Tell you that.
No. Let me explain.
You have to flip and flop all the way up to Mount Shasta. That's tough.
Stop. So when she was under the sea, she was collecting all these items from above the sea, and this was her treasure.
Okay.
She had this.
The Little Mermaid did this?
Yes, the Little Mermaid did this.
Haven't you ever seen Little Mermaid? Even I've seen Little Mermaid.
No, I have not.
You haven't seen Little Mermaid?
Oh man, that's a good one. Anyway, so she's got this huge treasure, and then her dad ends up coming in and finding out she has all this stuff, and he gets really pissed off, and he destroys all of her treasures. He kills them all.
Right.
Yeah. And so
he kills?
No, I'm sorry. He destroys them.
Oh, jeez.
Big pectorals on the guy. Big beard.
But he was so angry that she was imagining and she was idolizing what was above the ocean. So in my mind, I was like, what if this was his mom or dad coming down and he was like, oh crap, they're going to find all my treasures. And so he was running too. I don't know. That's where my mind went.
Yeah, I didn't go to Little Mermaid.
No.
That's for sure. But I thought when you think about that, you think about how human beings are. Like sometimes your mom comes around and yells at you for hanging out with people you're not supposed to be hanging out with, or doing something you're not supposed to be doing. So there is the chance that there's similarities. So he knew Mama was coming. Oh crap! I'm not supposed to talk to these humans.
Yeah.
That's why he bolted. Like he just left. Like, yeah, I was never here. It's just these humans.
Yeah.
Now that's very similar to something that reminded me of. There was another movie.
Okay.
It was called The Explorers.
Oh.
From back in the day, if I've ever seen The Explorers, it was a River Phoenix movie back in the day where they went to space.
It sounds familiar, but I'm not.
Yeah, they met they met and kind of befriended this alien, and it was the same thing when the adults showed up. The alien freaked out, took off because the kid alien knew that the parents were going to come and kick some butt. Yeah, so I mean, it very well could have been kind of the same thing.
The same thing.
Yeah, along the same lines.
I mean, maybe a bear. Maybe Bigfoot would run from a bear, basically just not to bother with it. Because sometimes maybe you don't want to bother with I wouldn't want to bother with a bear. But I might run off too.
But if you were a Bigfoot and you were 8 to 10 feet tall,
just because you're Bigfoot doesn't mean you got to fight everything in the forest.
Right.
Well,
to take the Disney metaphor, have you seen Beauty and the Beast? When Beast has to fight the wolves, I mean, Beast is this huge thing, but he gets pretty beat up from the wolves.
He does get pretty jacked up.
Hey, King Kong had to fight those T-Rexes in the Peter Jackson one.
Oh yeah,
he didn't want to.
But he did.
But he had to because of the girl. But he got pretty banged up. So maybe Bigfoot's like, I don't feel like fighting a bear right now.
I'm just getting to know these guys. We don't have a strong
Sorry, guys, I'm out.
Yeah.
It could be a lot of things. I was leaning towards like what, kind of a what if it took off because maybe Momma Bigfoot was coming down and telling him like, oh no, stay away from these people because I know they got the boomsticks.
Yeah.
Right.
And they apparently litter.
Right.
That you keep picking up and
you keep cleaning up the forest, which goes to our theory that we had a long time ago. That Bigfoot really is a sanitation engineer coming to clean things up.
He's not. You know what? I'm okay if he picks up. You know what? Don't litter.
Don't litter.
When you're in our national forests or even in your street, don't litter.
Don't litter. Yeah. But those.
I do want to say I like your idea, Lish, that it's sort of like he was afraid that his mom was going to find his browser cache.
Right.
Being an adolescent
Right.
That was a pretty innocent browser cache. A couple bottles and a mellow yellow can.
You can get what you get on the forest. You do what you got.
It reminds me of that movie where the guy. Oh, it was. God, I thought I knew it. Will Smith was in it.
Men in Black.
Suicide Squad, where the one guy, when Will Smith's character points a gun at him, Deadshot, and the guy's like, "If he kills me, immediately clear my browser cache."
Right.
So
that character's funny.
wow. So that's an amazing tale. That's an amazing experience that he had.
I can't help but wish that all those times I went out mountain biking, I had that experience. I don't know what I would do.
Right.
I don't know how scared I would
He
be.
was on a BMX bike. He wasn't on a true mountain bike. He was BMX.
Well, I think they started riding BMX bikes, but when they went off in California,
they were on
some mountain bikes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, but they had, they got a flat tire, and that's kind of. If they never got that flat tire, they wouldn't have been at that spot on the trail. So look at that.
Right.
Yeah, because they would have just kept riding, not even knowing that Bigfoot was right back there.
Right.
Oh, of course, there is a picture of the bicycles in question.
Okay.
I see.
Well,
Yes.
it'd just be the bicycle.
Well, there's a couple of them there.
What I found
You got a
interesting about this whole story tale was that a lot of the things that we hear about Bigfoot, he's not necessarily a gentle spirit of the forest.
There's a lot of people that he'll eat you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this kind of supports that, though.
I know.
That he
Well,
kinda
that's the
is.
thing. What he was saying is that, so I don't know if he found the pacifist Bigfoot out of all of them or what. But
okay.
yeah, well, his experience was definitely not awful. You know what I mean? He didn't die. He wasn't.
Well,
Wasn't pulled apart.
Right. So
otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to write a book.
right. But I did enjoy the fact that, everything that he was saying was that it's this, but everything that we're hearing everywhere else is not so.
Everywhere. There's a lot,
true.
Yeah. But there are a lot of stories you hear where it seems menacing. But maybe he's, again,
Maybe misunderstood.
misunderstood or just sick of our shit.
Right.
Yeah.
But now, what if Bigfoot hadn't gotten scared off, and they go over to look at all this pile of stuff that's been collected, and while they're bent
distracting.
down, he just clubs them in the back of the head.
Yeah, to put him in with the cash.
Wow, way to take that story to the wrong direction.
Whoa.
Wow.
Well, and the Bigfoot.
all of a sudden it becomes like that Quentin Tarantino movie, Reservoir Dogs.
Yep, that's right.
boy.
I mean,
Bigfoot's cutting off the dude's ear, dancing around.
he's storing it with a mellow yellow ear, teeth, whatever.
Yeah.
And it could be some of the accounts saying that Bigfoot was kind of a jerk.
Yellow in the basket.
Right. The stories where he's being a jerk, maybe because the Bigfoot that they're seeing they're closer to people and they're interacting with people, and that's a
true.
learned
Yeah.
behavior.
Yeah.
Whereas this one was in Mount Shasta, it hadn't seen people a while. All it had was this little stash of stuff. So it didn't know to be afraid, and it didn't know it wasn't the learned behavior yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Could you imagine if this happened and he's pulling out Bigfoot showing his stash to you,
Right?
and he's got like gold
Oof.
Yeah.
and stuff that, I mean, at what point you're like,
What can I trade?
how do I get that? Yeah, how do I trade for that treasure?
Right.
They get a rock and throw it off in the woods, so he goes, hey, and then you take it.
Because if you get caught trying to steal his treasure, I imagine.
Yeah, you pull your arms
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you pull your arms off and eat your foot.
Yeah. In that order?
Maybe. Who knows? You never know. Something to think about, listeners.
Yeah,
Something to think about. How would Bigfoot dismember you?
Man, it was such a good story, I think. I know.
That's
I don't know
right.
why I said I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
I think I would love to have that experience. That's
Right.
what I was trying to say.
Right.
But I
Maybe
yeah.
not the getting lost.
not the
part.
getting lost part.
Yeah.
Not having my bicycle get flat tires. I hate changing flat tires. It's the worst. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially when you're out there in the middle of it and all you have is this little modular tool because that's all you have. Because you're trying
Oh,
to
even
steal
when
it.
I was road riding.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than having a flat tire when you're dressed in nothing but spandex and your
Right.
shoes have those little cleats on. So you
yeah,
can't
the
even
little
walk
clicker
right.
in things. Yeah. So you're tapping every time you take
Yeah.
a step.
I had one. I had a flat tire going down this huge hill. And I was flying because I used to love downhill.
Yeah.
Popped a tire, didn't wreck, but now I'm at the bottom of this big hill, and the way home is up that big hill.
Up that big hill.
Oh, boy.
Or a long trail around that big hill.
Right.
I'm just clippity-clopping.
No.
Just doing your thing.
Full spandex, see everything.
Yeah.
Fortunately, another bike rider came along and helped me change a tire because I was prepared to walk all the way back.
Wow.
But it's a long haul when your shoes are stupid.
And you're aerodynamic by what you're wearing.
And that's why I don't bicycle on the road anymore. Not to mention drivers are. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy out there.
They are scary. But
Yeah, I might go back to mountain biking. There's no cars on the trails.
Right.
But Bigfoot.
just snakes
But
and
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot and bears.
Copperhead's Bigfoot.
Yeah.
You think it would have protected him against something? You think that's what the Bigfoot was trying to do, was protect him? They didn't really know how to protect him when he was running off, or do you think?
I think I got the sense he was just more. Well, early on, just very curious about the humans. But I think it was an adolescent.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
too.
Not a full
Yeah, but
grown.
what if it was?
And
it
Mama
was startled by whatever
Right.
made that noise, but it was like, oh, I gotta save my human friends. Took off towards the thing and
maybe.
tried to save
you
them,
think he
and
took
came
off
back.
the direction
Oh,
of the
right.
noise.
Okay.
Right, and fought it off and comes back.
Superman
and,
style.
Where'd my friends go?
Well, they ran the opposite direction. What if they would have ran with?
Yeah.
and they would have saw like an epic battle
Oh, my
between
God.
Bigfoot and a bear.
Or a T-Rex or something.
Wow.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
There's no T-Rex.
I was just thinking, what would be really cool for Bigfoot to fight. So that's what I
It
came
doesn't matter. If I saw Bigfoot fighting a raccoon, I was like, "This is pretty damn. This is epic."
Right.
That would be
This
an
is
interesting
epic.
fight. I wouldn't mind seeing that fight.
I'd sit down and watch that one.
That would have been a big raccoon.
Rocket Raccoon and Groot.
That's right.
Who would win? A raccoon
Probably.
or Bigfoot?
I think Bigfoot would just lift his
Yeah.
fist and
Yeah,
smash.
I'm just saying. You know,
There was a Godzilla meets Bambi video that would kind of illustrate what that battle would look
Okay.
like.
just stomping on.
Yeah,
it
just
and-
Bigfoot goes.
Video's over.
Yeah, it's over. That was it.
Sounds like Robot Chicken.
Yeah.
Well, to finish this on a serious note, Craig, thank you so much. I really am enjoying the book. I'm almost done with it. Thank you for spending time with us, and thank you for prompting this great discussion we had after we talked to you, because we got pretty goofy. Hey, remember, you can learn more about us at paranormalpunchers.com. Give us a review on iTunes. You can just go to our website and click on the little iTunes badge, and it'll take you there. We would greatly appreciate it. It helps the show. We're on Twitter. You can find us just by searching for Paranormal Punchers or P Punchers.
Pea punchers. Yeah.
We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Wherever you prefer to hang out.
Wherever we're there.
Anything else, guys?
No, all good.
Oh, we have a store.
Oh, that's right. Where are you going to find
The
that,
comic
that
book.
snazzy shirt
that I'm
you're wearing right
I'm
now?
always wearing swag.
That's right.
Just go to paranormalpunchers.com, click on store, boom, T-shirts, stickers, buttons, the comic book,
That's right.
which
With-
I just started writing some stuff for part 2. My buddy Mars had a great idea, outlined a boatload of the panels with some fantastic ideas. I'm just trying to work in some dialogue for the characters. I think we got something hot.
Cool.
Nice.
And
All right.
it involves, I don't want to give too many details away, but
But you will.
there's a state called New Jersey, and in that state there's something called the Devil. As in the Jersey Devil, not the hockey team, the Devils.
Nobody likes the
Oh, nobody likes that hockey team.
I don't think so.
Yikes.
So this time I think we're going to go up against the Jersey Devil
Nice.
up in the Pine Barrens.
Nice.
So stay tuned for that. As always, next episode, we got a lot of great listener feedback we're going to get through. You guys are amazing. You make the show amazing. And on that note, remember, if it's not weird,
It's not worth checking out.